So I don't know if it's changing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's changing. Maybe you should do some sort of intro to the pod with these effects.
Whoa, whoa! Welcome to Music Rules. I am in a fuzzbox melody line, and we are doing a very special episode today on a band called Wollongong.
Hell yeah, that was the best intro possible.
Yeah, pretty good introduction. And
Nice.
Now let me just get this back to a normal sound, and I'll be right with you in one moment. Just need to get to number 35. Okay. Standard compression.
The joy of vocal effects.
Yeah, it's a very joyous exercise in being annoying.
Yes. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of playing in the band Wollongong, which we're talking about today.
Oh my
where
goodness.
our singer Joel uses every single effect under the sun all at once.
That's very exciting.
All at the same time. It's very intense and very fun. Very exciting. So today we are talking...
Intense and fun. That's the perfect perfect
Put that on my
description.
grave. Put that on my grave. Intense, fun, maybe like himbo. These are all things I want on my grave.
Those are good gravestone things, epithets.
Yeah. Maybe like the word kind. That would mean a lot to me.
I want the word kind like really, 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 really big, and then my name very, very small.
Or maybe you could like ironically get the word humble.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
have that extremely
I want humble but made out of stone, like so my gravestone is actually a sculpture of the word humble in 3D lettering made out of stone.
Oh, nice.
I think that would be quite dope.
That would be quite dope of you to do that.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are quite dope, why don't you introduce the
Speaking
band
of
we're
dope
talking about
things.
today?
All right, so here's the deal. Me and Fenn, we're busy boys. Would you agree?
Extremely, yeah. Extremely
We
busy.
got lots of things happening. So what we're going to do for the next 2 episodes is we're going to do something which is a little bit more chill than writing a song every fortnight for a band and analyzing their music to great depth. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about 2 musicians that you might know from the podcast Music Rules. And they are Jack and
Fenn.
And we're going to be sharing with you some musings on their own stuff that we've created. And we feel like maybe it would be good to have it a little bit more celebrated. At least that's what I feel talking about, particularly this Wollongong album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great album, and I'm glad that you
thank you
chose
so
to talk
much.
about it, because I have
Yeah.
listened to this even before it was assigned to me. I had already listened to it and enjoyed it, so yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you should prepare yourself and for many similar compliments thrown back at you next week on next week's episode when we do Fenn's music. But that will have to wait because this week is all about Wollongong, baby.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I want to take you guys right back to the beginning, right back to where it all started. So Wollongong is a band that is probably older than some of our listeners. If we have any listeners who are like 10 or 11 years old.
You never know. We might.
We might, because, you know, we're mostly PG, mostly family friendly.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, except for a few things that sort of slip through, but we're not going to draw attention to those. But we started way back in a year, I think it was 2011. Basically, I was at TAFE and just floating around after school, not very equipped for the world, just studying music because what else am I going to do? And then what happened was I ran into a man by the name of Michael Manzini,
Wow.
who I believe has been previously mentioned on the pod. Maybe, maybe not. He's a longtime musical friend of mine, masterful engineer as well as bass player and guitarist and drummer. One of those freaks. Plays in the band called Duolog, which we might talk about one day. And yeah, him and I, we met in TAFE, and basically we were both finding ourselves in a position where we wanted to create a band or a project where it was maybe a bit more relaxed than what we're experiencing as two musicians who were playing in bands and dealing with songwriting and dealing with, you know, trying to get as many ears as possible on your music at all times. So we ended up creating a band by the name of Wollongong, named after the town that we lived in and still continue to live in, called Wollongong.
And the album we're talking about today is called
Wollongong. Yes, it is our 100th album. Now, I know what you might be thinking, listener. 100 albums? What the heck? How can you manage to do 100 albums? Well, I want to take you guys back in time, back to 2011, and share with you a little thing that we created together. So, before 2011, whenever people wanted to play music together, they would have to write it down. They would have to put it on a piece of paper and they'd discuss it at length. And then when they would play it together, they would perform the songs pre-written.
That's what the only way I knew.
It's literally the only way that existed back in the day. And what we did is we one day picked up our instruments and just started to play just random things. And then we called it improvising. And ever since then, we've been doing this technique called improvising, making things up on our instruments. And we have done over 100 albums. And they've all been improvised. I'm just scrolling through the Bandcamp now. They're not all on Spotify. Some people don't believe that we actually have 100 albums, but they're all on Bandcamp if you want to check them out. But
check the link, guys.
Check the link. It'll be in the show notes. But they were all 100% improvised up until about halfway through, I think. So the 50th album, that was our first written album. And then there was some other exceptions as well after that. Like, there's a beautiful album called Another Week Gone. It's quite a heavy album, but that was actually put together by Michael when he recorded our drummer, Dave. And Dave at the time, I think he was living out of Wollongong, maybe somewhere pretty regional like Goulburn or something like that. And he rarely got the chance to play drums. And what Michael did was he recorded Dave just playing drums before like a recording session. And there was no one else in the room, just him, and Michael had the tape rolling. And then after he was done just kind of playing around and just chopping up and enjoying playing drums for the first time in ages, Michael, over the next week, created an entire album based on Dave's just, free playing.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's sort of like, in some ways, that's the drums are obviously improvised in that. And then, but yeah, the stuff that was added was clearly composed over the top. It's an album called One Note, which is where there's 12 tracks and we play each of the 12 notes in the chromatic scale, just one note at a time. And I think that was somewhat composed. 30,000 Spider Tickles. The 10,000, 20, 30, 40, they're all albums that we played through one time and then we recorded ourselves playing along to ourselves. So it's kind of half improvised once again.
Yeah.
And and then that sort of takes us all the way through to the stuff last year where we made some goofy pub album, which is just, 12 pub classics. Where we just wrote a chorus and then improvised verses and various other things. But Wollongong, the album Wollongong by Wollongong, that was our 100th album, and that was our first ever sit down and actually write something.
Yeah.
Which is a very scary thing to do when you've sort of been doing things on easy mode, I guess.
It's funny
until
to think of it like that, because I think most people would think of it the opposite way. Like, they would think
Right.
that improvising an album is the scary thing to do, and that having stuff written is more of a safety net. But it's funny because, yeah, like, for you guys, the convention or the thing that you're used to is doing the improvising, and you've developed this camaraderie, both, you know, with each other as friends,
Yeah.
and then also like the musical camaraderie, like you kind of know
Yeah.
what the other people are going to do because you've played so much together. So that
Yes.
has become its own kind of like safety
Absolutely.
net. And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny to hear you talk about writing stuff as the scary thing.
Yeah, it is funny that it is the opposite, but the whole thing with improvising is that we just want to do something that's interesting every time, and we don't want to be boring and the same. So we're always shooting for something different, like some sort of vague concept. But you know, a lot of the stuff just doesn't really get released if it's not good. You know, it's like it'll just get cut out in the editing room, which is Michael's room. But yeah, yes. So we put together the 100th album in a amazingly short period of time. So I think it was about 3 months from the moment we started writing songs to the moment we recorded the songs to the moment that we released the album.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was a really intense time. I was going through a slight mental health crisis at the time when it was happening.
Whoa.
But it ended up being like quite good for me to just have this project to completely fixate on.
Yeah.
So the way the album's split up is there's 4 of us in the band. There's on drums Dave, our singer / guitarist / synth player Joel, Michael on bass, myself on guitar, vocals, what have you. And the 4 of us got together and we didn't get together. Individually, we wrote 3 songs, just 3 full songs. And we made little demos of these songs. And
I remember
chord
you
charts.
actually playing me your demos in your car.
Yeah. I remember. Was that when we were doing your musical? Or rehearsing for it, maybe?
I can't remember. I think maybe.
I think it was.
That seems right. Yeah.
Yeah, around October last year. Yeah. So we each made these 3 songs, these 3 demos, and there was absolutely no sort of constrictions or parameters around what we did, song length, style, anything like that. The only thing that we had to do was to use the word 100 in lyrics in all of our songs.
I love that.
Yep.
It's
Some
a
of us
great,
chose
it's a very small limitation, but it's a good
It
limitation.
is very small. Yeah.
And especially when you're listening through the album, like, you can kind of be listening for it and be like, oh, there's the 100 in the lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of the 100s feature like very prominently, like in choruses, and other ones are like a bit more hidden. But yeah, the process of writing this was a ton of fun. Like it was really challenging, I think, particularly for our drummer, because he'd actually never written and recorded like a full song before.
Yeah.
But as you'll hear later on when we play one of his songs, he did an excellent job.
He killed it.
Yeah. So let's start this podcast off with one of my tracks. Is that all right?
Sounds good.
So this one is about sitting in the sun in Wollongong, and it is called Sunny Day. 3, 2, 1.
Sunny day.
Here I sit in ignorance outside of Pepe's beach, head empty as the shop fronts that line Crown Street. I have a thought and then it's gone, just like that, just like that. Now my full attention is drawn to a man in a funny hat. When I was 18 I had one just like that. This guy is free and loud and cool, just this way, just this way. Oh, it's a sunny day. I look inside and I can see I've nothing smart to say. The sun that pours down into me, crisping me like a chip. Oh, it's a sunny day. Perhaps I'll go and buy a silly hat from town for fun. Look the cashier in the eyes and say, yeah, just this one. Wonder what she thinks of me wearing this hat. Wearing this hat. Does she think I'm recapturing some gone forgotten youth? Does she think that I'm a thoughtless and impulsive fool? Does she think anything, anything at all? Anything at all? Oh, it's a sunny day. I look inside and I can see I've nothing smart to say. The sun pours down into me, pruning me like a fig. Oh, it's a sunny day. I've been lost in my thoughts, but one slowly comes to mind. I've been standing here for hours, staring in the cashier's eyes, with this big silly hat perched upon my head, still as a statue, still as a statue. I cannot hear, I'm fully gone, but I watch the scene unfold. Full-blown catatonia, or later I was told. At some point I don't blame her, but she rang the police. Yet I don't move a muscle, don't move a muscle. A crowd began to gather and then try to move me on. Slowly but surely the crowd grew 100 strong. Some familiar voices came up and I heard my name. Waving hands in my face, screamed, "Stop this stupid game!" Yet I didn't move a muscle, no, not a single one. I came here for silly hats and for some silly fun. Always been a stubborn guy, I know just what I want. I'm spending all eternity at this shop front, thinking, oh, it's a sunny day. I look inside and I can see I've nothing smart to say. The sun pours down into me, peeling me like a shrimp. Oh, it's a sunny day. Oh, it's a sunny day. I look inside and I can see I've nothing smart to say. The sun pours down into me, thinking me like a pig. Oh, it's a sunny day.
Thank you for your tiny applause.
Very claps. Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to pick a different song, and then Fenn mentioned that he liked this one, and I was like, oh, it is a nice song. So we did this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I do really like this song. I listen to it a lot. I think it's the song I listen to the most on this album. Because it's just so...
cheers.
It's just a really nice, like, melodious tune, and I like the way the chord progression moves. Haven't really analyzed it properly or anything, but it's just it's a nice kind of almost like Beatles-ish chord progression, where it kind of moves a little bit further and a little bit more than your typical kind of chord progression, I guess. And then especially I really like the lyrics of this song and the kind of the story of it. Like, it goes into an unexpected place, I guess. Do you want to talk a bit about it first, and then we'll get into it? Or?
Yeah, of course. It was funny you talk about the chord progression. When I was recording this track, my housemate came in and she was like, "Are you playing Riptide by Vance Joy?" Because it's the same pattern. It's like 6-5-1.
Yeah, right.
I was scared of dentists and the dog. It's a hard song to sing. I don't know.
One
I
time-
think it's just the key for me.
I was scared of Dentist in the Dark. That's the meme version.
What's the real version?
Who
I
knows?
thought that was the words.
No, it's not. It's not.
What is it? Let me look this up. Let's get the fact check on
One
Riptide.
time, a little story about Vance Joy's
it is.
Riptide.
It's the real version.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversations. Oh,
Wow.
my friends are turning green.
I did see
Where were
Vance
you on
Joy
Hottest
at
100
Watson's
Day?
Bay one time. And
right.
yeah, I tried to take a photo of him and he quickly ducked into a restaurant.
Oh, you should change the lyrics. I was scared of dentists and pictures.
And pictures of
That
me.
freak.
Pictures of you.
Of who-
yeah,
yeah.
but this song, yeah, it's I guess I can kind of see like how it's got that Riptide kind of shuffle, almost
Yeah.
like
Boom,
almost Mumford and Sonsy kind of shuffle
Yeah.
to it.
This is like-
yeah.
This might be like the most poppy song I've ever written in my life. Although I couldn't resist because I love when people write pop songs that are really like sit nice with people, but then the bridges are uncomfortably long. So that was kind of my thinking behind this track.
Very nice. Yeah, the bridge is definitely uncomfortably long.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes with the lyrics. So, like, I assume you just started writing these lyrics when you were just sitting near a beach or something. Is that right?
Well, when I was younger, back in my blunder years, I used to wear the silliest of hats. Like, I wore this hat, I think it was from Nimbin or something. It was like this, like, everyone said it looked like a tea cozy. It was like a multicolored hat that basically made people come up and try and buy weed off me all the time.
Wow. Yeah.
Which I wasn't selling. But yeah, it was like I was wearing that hat and I was thinking about when I was younger and how it just felt like the whole world was less politicized. So it's kind of yet another song I've written about just wanting to regress
yeah,
into
definitely.
being a...
Oh, like
yeah.
it's also kind of goes back to, I mean, stuff that we've talked about, but like trying not to feel this feeling of self cringe. It's something I think about a lot as well. And like, sure, maybe the guy who's wearing a fedora and like quoting Borat kind of seems like a weirdo or whatever. But
Yeah.
there is something to be envied about that guy, you know? Even if I don't want to exactly be like him, you know, it would be
Yeah.
nice to feel less self-aware sometimes, I think.
Yeah, totally. Because that person's existing without the weight of like, yeah, self-consciousness, internet panopticon, self-policing rubbish. And
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
and that guy was me.
And that was
12
you,
years
and
ago.
you used to
Yeah.
be that guy. You used to
I
wear.
was that guy.
You were a young person, a young man who had a funny hat thing, and you
Yeah.
know a lot of them
And
do.
I used to sit by the beach.
People
and
wear these, yeah.
vibe.
Wow,
But
that's
yeah,
that's very nice.
it was that was kind of like the nucleus of the song. And
so
then
the guy you see walking with the silly hat in the song is you.
it's me.
Wow.
It's me. I was the man in the mirror all along. Yeah. And the bridge is like about how I used to go to like a party store
Yeah.
and buy costumes for my band all the time. And one time I had like the intrusive thought of like, what if I just like stood very still and did nothing for a long time? Like, what would happen? Yeah, but your brother had a really cool interpretation of this.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I played this to my brother, and I was kind of like saying the lyrics at him as I was playing it to him. I was like, yeah, it's like so funny, because like I guess the story is like it's a guy sees somebody with a silly hat. He goes to a store to get the same hat as this guy, and then he just stands at the counter and is just thinking about buying the hat and thinking all these thoughts. And it's really funny because then it kind of cuts out of his thoughts into the real world where he's just been actually just standing there and everyone's freaking out and they're
Staring
like,
at
what are you
someone,
doing?
yeah.
So that's like it was a really fun, like lyrical technique. But yeah, my brother was saying like, Well, like, yeah, there's so many songs where it is all the action is taking place internally. It is all this like big internal monologue, but you never really think like about, that person just being completely still and just thinking all this, all this weird stuff. Like when you're listening to, I don't know, I can't think of a song right now, but when you're listening to, Riptide by Vance Joy, you don't think about him just, sitting stock still, looking into like the middle space, with like dead shark eyes or whatever, like just kind of, like that's what that looks like to the outside world. But then, when it's in a song format, you sing along, you're pumping your fist, all that stuff. So yeah, it's funny.
Exactly.
Like it's a funny subversion of that trope of like this kind of internal monologue, kind of, that
mental
thing.
space.
Yeah,
What does
exactly.
it look like IRL?
Yeah, because you're like exploring this interior kind of part of yourself. And then IRL, you're just standing completely catatonic. And it takes a crowd of 100 strong to move you along.
That was now we know why we use the word 100 instead of 20.
Yeah.
Because it had to use it. But that's Sunny Day. I'm really proud of the harmonies at the end in the it's a sunny day.
There's a bit of like polyphony, or there's like these two different parts.
It was kind of hard to write the harmony for that end bit. It's like harmonically it's all pretty diatonic, this song, but I think the only non-diatonic note is in the bit. It's like the third repetition of the chorus, or like 3/4 of the way through.
There's one harmony part that ascends where you're not expecting it to.
Yeah, the sun that burns down into me, pinking me like a pig.
Yes.
Something like that, but really high pitched.
I also really like, in terms of your lyrical writing in this song, how in each chorus the lyrics stay the same, but then the sun is doing a different thing to you. How it's crisping you like a chip, pruning you like a fig, peeling you like a shrimp. I just love how it almost feels like a children's book or something, where it's like they have these like really fun like descriptive similes and stuff. I really enjoyed that little bit of descriptive writing.
Yeah, that was one of Zini's suggestions, and
nice.
I'm very glad I did it. Yeah. Even though I was kind of annoyed at the time because it was so stressful. Because we had to do it was just us playing like internet tag and sending each other like different guitar tracks, and but I would always do it wrong. Apparently I can't send tracks right because they'd always be out of time, or they'd be at the wrong sample rate, or they'd be in the wrong pickup on the guitar.
Boo.
But you know what, I'm glad that he kind of was brutal, because it's a good product.
Ultimately that stuff can be annoying when you're making something, but then it feels worth it when you end up with something that sounds good. For sure. And you know what people say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Wow.
And that brings us to our next song, which is called Trash and Treasure. And this one is by our wonderful drummer, Dave. Shall we hit him with a 3, 2, 1, Trash and Treasure?
3, 2, 1, Trash and Treasure.
Trash and Treasure.
Another man's trash is another man's treasure. The gobos are rattled even in foul weather. Picking up the pieces, could you do better? Even in foul weather. Driving down the street, I see you peeking through a pile. Curbside pieces going through the turnstile. When your neighbor calls the council, could it be for your worthwhile? Another man's trash is another man's treasure. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. The gobbles are rattled even in bad weather. Picking up the pieces, could you do better? Even in foul weather. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. Walk up the driveway to get the newsletter.
What's on the curb? Is it trash or is it treasure? Meter man comes to take a meter measure. Always using more water in the summer weather with you. Dump and be the port to wait out bad weather. Got dashed upon the rocks when someone cut the tether. Boat on the horizon, let's pile in together. Or wash up on the shore, are we trash or are we treasure? Just another pleasure. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. 100 albums down and now we know better. Picking up the pieces even in bad weather. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. Gobbles a rat or even in bad weather. Picking up the pieces, who could do better? Could you do better? I can't sing and I know better. Just another piece of trash trying to make myself better for you. Another man's trash is another man's treasure. Gobbles always at it, even in bad weather. Picking up the pieces. Could you do better? Could you do better?
So, Fenn, what's the verdict? Trash or
Is
treasure?
it trash or is it treasure? I would say treasure.
Trash.
Could
No,
you do better?
it's not trash. I could
No,
not.
no.
It's absolutely treasure. I love this tune. This
Yes.
was Dave's first song that he wrote for this album.
Wow.
Oh, kind of. So this song kind of came out. We had a minor disagreement about a song right at the beginning of this album. And then this song is kind of about the disagreement. It's sort of dressed up, not quite as obviously, but yeah.
Really going behind the scenes here.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It was funny. We sort of mentioned this when we did interviews and some press for the 100th launch. We sort of mentioned it offhand to one of the journalists that was doing an article on us, and she made that the main feature of the story.
Really?
Yeah, that we
Oh
were
my
like
God.
this beefing band that somehow surmounted this massive mountain and conquered, despite all of our big difficulties, which of course,
It's kind of a good story.
kind of a good story. Yeah, I guess maybe from a journalistic perspective, it's
Yeah.
fun to talk about.
100
But yeah,
albums down and now we go better.
Now we know
Picking up
better.
the pieces even in bad weather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a
braving
cracker
the-
of a tune.
Yeah. Braving the
And there's a-
storm.
Yeah, that's true. It is kind of got epic language.
Yeah.
I think I love this song so much because obviously Dave being an accomplished musician, like playing a bit of guitar and drums and a bit of everything, one of those people. This is still like his first kind of venture of writing like an entire full song on its own.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of amazing little things that maybe people sort of shy away from when they've been writing for a long time. But in this case, it really elevates the song and makes it so cool and interesting. So if you listen through it, you can kind of hear there's like this main like G to E minor theme. But the interesting part of it is that every time it returns, I don't know if you saw the document I sent through with the chords and stuff.
No.
I just sent it through on the Zencaster thing. But
Okay.
But yeah, basically every time it comes back to this progression, it's slightly different. So there's all these kind of irregular bar lengths, irregular phrasing. Yeah, I like notated this when Dave sent me through a video of him playing this song, kind of demoing it.
Yeah.
And I wrote down all the sort of parts together, and yeah, it's like, it's obviously was very intuitive for Dave when he was writing the song, but like notation wise, like I just did chords, but yeah, it repeats all these sections in like a really unexpected kind of way.
Yeah, right. Like there's things are kind of just as long as they need to be.
Exactly, which is what we talk about a lot in this podcast, which is where, you know, the form is dictated by lyrical content and, like rhythm and stuff like that. So it's not your classic intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro. No. It's like I
also like
journey.
that
it's an adventure.
Another thing that people kind of might shy away from once they've been writing songs for longer is like repeating lyrics, but I actually really like how often certain lyrics get repeated, or just there are just subtle changes to them. I like how he has the another man's trash is another man's treasure, but sometimes it's another man's trash is another man's treasure, and then other times it's another man's trash is another man's treasure. Like two completely different melodies, but using the same lyrics. It's really fun.
Absolutely. And that first iteration of Trash and Treasure that you just sang, that's the kind of lyrical theme for the could you do better, the B minor to C thing in that.
And I also like that he keeps a consistent, basically the same rhyme throughout the entire song. Like it's all like treasure, measure, meter, weather, better.
Yeah.
You know, I like that it's so consistent.
Yeah.
It's really satisfying to listen to. Yeah, and really like, it's like snaps you, like a good rhyme, like kind of makes the end of each line really snap. I don't know if that makes sense, but it really like makes everything snap into place. The fact that the rhymes are so neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are really neat. Is there a name for that kind of like A-B rhyming thing? Is that what it's called? A-B?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty underskilled in
there probably is a name for it, and I probably should know what it is, but I
me too.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
One line I really like, if I was to pick a favorite line: meter man comes to read your meter measure, always using more water in the summer weather.
With you, yeah.
With you. A fantastic
meter man
line.
Come to the meter measure. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it's sort of like I keep trying to kind of understand what this album is in terms of like holistically how the songs all kind of link together and what the similarity is, because they're all somewhat different, but it's kind of like it is like a reflective album, like sort of reflecting on how like maybe like 10 or 11 years ago it was kind of a lot easier to just do music.
Yeah, right.
Because
I find the different perspectives in this album really interesting. Like, and maybe the theme of the album is Wollongong, the title, because I mean, obviously you all live there, but it kind of, there are all these local inflections to a lot of the lyrics. So even on some of the songs we're not going to talk about, but like your song Familiar Faces is about like seeing people at the train station, or like Michael has a song about like working at the council. And then
Great
like
tune.
the drummer Dave, that's his name, right? Yeah. And like he has a song about like working in the hospital. So it's almost like you get this like holistic view of like a place almost from all these different perspectives.
Oh God, I wish that's such a good take, Fenn. I wish we had time to talk about Dave's song ED. That's like probably my second favorite. It's Dave's song about working in the emergency department.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It was such a pleasure because I was lucky enough to be the one to record Dave for the vocals for these tracks. And yeah, it's quite good. Like even for someone who's never really sung before on a recording or like he's sung live with us, and like we've done heaps of albums where we all sing together. But in terms of recording, this was a first, I think. But
when he sang the line, "I can't sing and I know better," just another piece of trash trying to make myself better for you, was talking about you, Jack?
I don't think so. God, I hope not. I'd feel so bad. I think I create a nice environment when people are recording with me. I hope it's all tea and you know, like, is this loud enough? Can you hear?
And by
yourself?
tea you mean drama?
Yeah, I'm just spilling the tea constantly. Yeah. I've got I'm flicking through my phone and playing loud TikToks about, you know, the latest thing that is going down with Lizzo. And,
the latest, like, whatever the singer in the 1975 is up to, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Those sort of, like, really, like, important things to think about.
Yeah. Speaking of important things.
Yeah. Shall we go to the next important thing, which I think so. A little song called Boyd's in a Hurricane. And this one is from our singer/guitarist, Joel. 3, 2, 1. Boyd's in a Hurricane. That was Birds in a Hurricane. Boyds in a Hurricane.
It's a bit epic. Things
a bit
just got
epic.
a little bit epic in here.
Things really just got very epic.
I think things got a little bit epic.
This song to me sounds like kind of like a bit of a Mike Patton, like Faith No More kind of vibe to it. Hey.
I was thinking like Silverchair
Oh yeah.
a little
I've
bit,
never
like
really
because of
listened
these
to
kind of like
Silverchair that much.
it's a little chromatic, and then there's these really heavy guitars, and these kind of like soaring vocals.
Yeah.
Very fun to listen to.
It's kind of like a bit of a 90s thing to have like the really like chill verses and then the choruses are like just really loud.
Yeah. I like 100 Birds in a Hurricane. That's a good line.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool imagery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that. Listener, close your eyes for a second and then think about that.
Imagine those birds in a hurricane.
100 Birds in a Hurricane.
Yeah. That's actually not like, if you think about a hurricane, 100 birds isn't that many. It's really
You
not
should
that
have made
much,
it
right?
100,000 birds in a hurricane.
Yeah. Now you got my attention.
Yeah. That's
Now
my punch up for the lyrics. 100 million birds in a hurricane.
100,000. Yeah, well, I mean, like,
we will fly like 100 billion birds in a hurricane.
yeah, that could be the
Whoa.
like, the you know the like. More
You can do it for your
typically-
100 billionth album.
Yeah, which we will get.
Yeah.
You know, you could do like what are we just talking about? Where like the form is dictated by lyrics. Like
Yeah,
you could just add like 3 extra beats for like 100 million birds in a hurricane.
Yeah, and it could keep getting longer. Like 100,000
1,000
million billion
trillion
birds in a hurricane.
Yeah, that would have been so cool. Joel,
Yeah.
I hope you're listening. Take some notes for the next 1000th album. Yeah. This track features me doing the solo in the middle.
Ah, yes.
The
Now,
really,
was that 2 layers of guitar?
it
Like,
was
in harmony? Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I like
yeah.
that kind of breakdown. I was expecting the song to end at the 3-minute mark, and then there's like this kind of breakdown
Yeah.
with these like really unexpected, these hits in unexpected places. It's got a lot of
Yeah.
fun momentum and then cool
Yeah,
guitar solo.
It's funny that rhythm. It's like it's just 4, but it feels so crazy. Like I was just counting it then. It's
Yeah.
like really.
I think emphasizing beat 1 is really unexpected in a rock song because we're so used to hearing people emphasize beat 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Like in that song, you know the song "Just What I Needed." I guess you're just what I needed. You know that song?
by whom?
By the Cars. There's a
no.
section in it. Well,
Is that the
anyway,
one that
it's
goes, "Life is a highway, I
is
wanna
not.
ride it," from the movie Cars?
It is not that song, but there's a part in the verse where the drums shift from going like dun to cut to dun to cut to. They go like dun to cut to dun to cut to cut to dun to cut to
Ah,
cut.
yeah,
It's really throws you off.
yeah.
So
And
it could
it's
be
not-
that, just emphasizing the beat 1.
Yeah, and it's not even like a time signature change. Like the fundamental thing is still there. It's just
Yeah,
can still mess with your head. Yeah.
it can. Yeah.
There's like a little bit in this in that solo that Michael told me sounds like "Go Go Power Rangers." And then ever since Michael pointed it out, I realized like in every solo I do, there's a moment where I go bing 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 bing.
Oh no.
I don't know why. Just some
I don't want to
subliminal-
know about like any of my tropes.
Oh, you just wait until next week.
Oh god.
Oh,
Oh no.
aka next episode. Hey, but Fenn, your tropes, they're what make you. They're what
That's
make
true.
you, and it's
Yeah,
wonderful. And
that's
we
true.
celebrate them.
We
on this
celebrate the
podcast.
do.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, what else can we say about this song? It's a big epic. It's kind of like it's in like a major. I think it's in A major, and does this descending thing where it kind of mixes modes, and there's A minor for a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the kind of the 1 to the 1/7 chord to the minor 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
secondary dominance, that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
a nice progression always.
That's probably like the Silverchair sounding thing. Hey.
Yeah, it's
With
also
those
kind of
chords.
Beatles-ish. They do it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
speaking of Beatles, Michael uses a mellotron in this as well.
Yeah, I was wondering what that sound was. Yeah,
yeah.
I like when it was like the bass was playing the melody and the mellotron was doubling it. That was a really nice little
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah, that's definitely Michael because, yeah, it's probably supporting the part that he put down with the bass he's putting down. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. I think everyone knocked it out of the park on this one. I think, for the
And
solo.
the vocals remind me of like they're almost like Tenacious D or something. Like they have this like really epic, like Jack Blackian quality to them.
Yeah, that's Joel. That's Joel.
I could
He's
imagine,
good at that.
you know, like lightning, you know, coming out of his hands while he's singing it or whatever.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I feel myself getting old. This is growing up, I guess. That brings us to our final track on the album called This Is Growing Up, I guess.
This is growing up, I guess.
Yes. And this is the last track on the album that Michael has written. And it's so freaking cool. And I don't even want to talk about it. I'm just going to hit play. And maybe while it's playing, listener, try and follow along with some of these chords. They're crazy because I can't follow along with them. 3, 2, 1. This is going to be
I check the letterbox. I check it just because. Even though I know there's nothing there, I need a bit of roadside air. Everyone along my street shows so little dignity. Their gardens overgrown, their garbage overflown. Embrace the mundane. Life can't always excite you. There's chores to do. Red bin goes out once a week. Yellow and green rotate fortnightly. Deep down, you know if you leave, you're gonna come back with only pleasant memories. But it's more than that. You might go, you'll be back. It's just a thing I see. Everyone's where they want to be. At least I think they'd be if they just didn't leave. And where are they gonna go? Somewhere with people they don't know. They might be somewhere else, but they still have to deal with themselves. You can't run from the problems when you are your problems. Deep down, you know believe you're gonna come back with only pleasant memories. But it's more
Yeah.
An absolute crash course in songwriting from Michael Manzini.
Yeah. He really was like, oh, okay, we're only allowed 3 songs, then let me do the absolute most with this one.
Yeah.
And I love it. It was great.
Yeah. There was kind of like a slow escalation that began. So I think Michael's first contribution to this album was Like a Spoon, which is the first track. And then he wrote his second song, One Team, which is the council one that you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like kind of proggy. And then I sat down and I wrote the song Waltzing Wanuna, which goes for 7 minutes and has heaps of sections and is proggy as well.
Yeah.
And then I think Zini's like, oh, you want to get proggy, huh? Hold my beer.
It is really proggy. I guess there's like 3 main sections, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're all they could all be individual songs, but they work really nicely together as well.
Yeah.
Like the sections really complement each other, and I love the ending as well, especially.
It's really
that
funny.
Like repeated outro.
Yeah.
Very fun.
It's really funny that like ending was like, I recorded the guitar, I think that's panned right, and Joel did the lead guitar panned left.
Yeah.
But I just forgot that I did that entirely. And then Zini told me that that's actually me doing it. That's sort of like a peek behind the curtain of how intense this 3-month period was of just writing, recording, and I think as well Zini had just had a baby as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we're all just in this really intense state.
Yeah.
The picture on the front where we're all standing on the album, this was like within that 3-week or that 3-month period, and it was just pouring with rain, and we spent
God.
I think like 2 hours in the rain just getting photos.
There's a 4 very wet
Gavin
gentlemen.
Parkinson. Yes, we were wet men that day for sure, but it was kind of cathartic and cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It can be.
The bit around 150 is like, I think my favorite Michael Manzini moment, perhaps of all time.
Wow.
It's got this like, it's kind of like the classical sounding bit. It's like a little bit Baroque, although I can't really point at why it feels Baroque. It feels like very counterpoint.
I'm just going to listen to it again. Hold on.
Okay. Fenn's the best at this stuff.
Yeah.
He'll tell me why. It sounds Baroque.
It's just going to be silence in the recording.
I won't cut out the silence because that's the sound of genius at work.
It's a very satisfying chord progression. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but yeah.
Yeah, I worked it
very
out on
nice.
guitar a little bit. It's like a descending bass. Yeah. Ding 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 ding. It's kind of like a harmonic minor thing going on.
Yeah, it's got good voice leading and stuff with all the chords. I noticed one of the things that he was doing, at least in the first section, was using a lot of like major chords, a lot of chromatic stuff, which is really, really fun. And it reminds me of a band called Blur, and particularly their album called Modern Life is Rubbish.
Or is in it.
In it, Modern Life is Rubbish, in it, which is a really fun album, and it's kind of like their second album, but they're still relatively guitar-y and not quite as pop as they became, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they were always a guitar band, but yeah, there's actually a few things in this song that did remind me of the band Blur in a really nice way. Like even that ending, it reminds me of the end of the song Coffee and TV, where it's got like, we can start over again. And then it's just got the most atonal, crazy guitar solo you've ever heard.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that
the guitarist of Blur, Graham Coxon, just like goes wild.
Maybe we do that album one day. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
That could be one that we do together, where we do a song together or something.
That would be fun.
But yeah, the Coffee and TV chord progression is just wild, much like these chords.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it reminded me of that song.
Yeah.
Just kind of chugs along, but it's really unexpected.
Yeah, I think Michael's writing is pretty influenced by bands like Blur. It's very much like these really great hooks and these really great pop like sensibilities, but the chords underpinning it are just completely wackadoo.
Yeah, they are quite wackadoo, yeah, but if you have a good enough melody and stuff, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
And it makes it more fun. Yeah, and there's a lot of like really fun melodic bass lines and stuff in that middle section. That middle section definitely feels less like Blur. It's more kind of like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a freak out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's quite funky.
Yeah, and then there's the kind of like the timey crazy bit. Timey crazy. This is the sort of intellectual thing that you tune in for music rules for. Timey crazy. Timey do be crazy. It's that bit where it goes, I told you before, those kind of things don't bore me. I told you before.
There's that section where it's like it's either alternating a bar of 4/4 and 7/8 or something, or it's just or it's like 7/8 for 4 bars and then 4/4 for 4 bars.
Yeah, Dave did really
going
well
between those
to pull that together. It's a crazy section.
It's always fun when 7/8 feels like a bar of 4/4, but it's just missing a quaver. That's a nice way to think about it, and it's very destabilizing. And it's a lot less lame than like if people are just like 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 bam 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 da da ba da yeah. It's really uncool, unfunky.
I have a
to
feeling
think of
that
7/8 in that way.
Maybe the listener listening back will hear us doing that, and they'll just be thinking, "Oh, that sounds so cool." So maybe it is cool.
Maybe it's awesome.
Maybe it's awesome.
Everything's subjective, really. It's not even any point in me saying anything.
This is the podcast where we literally stand for nothing and make no points at all.
It could be this, or it could
it's
not.
all about intention, right? And I don't know. It's just maybe it kind of comes across as lame if you're spelling out time signatures in a way that seems really like if every like, oh, you know what's freaky, right? So you know, like the pattern do get classic take 5, but also Jesus Christ Superstar. Try not to get worried, things that don't start you, problems that don't stun you now, because everything's all right. Yes, everything's fine. I swear there's like a massive period of songs, collection of songs that all kind of have that exact same rhythm in 5/4. It's like the only 5/4
even
rhythm.
Mission Impossible is kind of dun 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 dun. Yeah, I don't know why that is.
I guess
but
maybe
it
the
just
point
is very
is
funky. Well, not funky, but it just
there's probably just more creative ways to do time signatures, which we're going to hear when we do your album next week.
Oh my gosh, perhaps.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this.
This has been Music Rules.
It has
Music Rules Cast on Instagram.
And you have been Music Rules listener. Thank you for developing this parasocial relationship. I really feel like we're becoming best friends with you, because me and Fenn, we are your real life friends.
Have a great day. I actually looked at the analytics the other week and saw the drop off like by the end of the episode. And it's so if you are the one person
that has made it this way,
then my home address is like I'd give that to you freaks.
Yeah. You know who you are, you freak person. It's me. I'm the listener. Thank you so much for listening. Rate us 5 stars. Email us musicrulespodcast@gmail.com. Review on Google, and look up Wollongong the band.
Listen to the album Wollongong.
And also Wollongong has a podcast, which weirdly I've waited until an hour and 8 minutes to plug. But yes, go and listen to it. We talk about being in the band Wollongong. And yeah. All right.
Very
Music
nice.
Rules. I love you.
Bye.
Bye.